Okay, guys, so welcome to this workshop on auto scaling. This is Roshan, everyone. I have just to introduce myself. I have 16 years of experience in IT. From last 6 to 7 years, I am working into DevOps, SRE, in the cloud space, working with multiple cloud service provider, AWS, Azure, and GCP. I am doing the consulting work with many companies. I do, and training is of my hobby. I do like to share my knowledge, so that's why we are meeting on the frequent basis, right? Just to start my career, I started my career as a Java developer. I was into development for about 4 to 5 years, and then I moved into Java performance engineering, where I was troubleshooting Java applications, enterprise applications, looking into all sorts of issues, code optimization, data structure algorithm. I was mostly into code optimization, looking into the issues at the code level, taking heap dump, thread dump, and code dump, and those kind of thing, right? And then I moved into Python development as well in later part of my career. And then from last 6 to 7 years, I'm into SRE and into DevOps and cloud professional. I am architect associate with multiple cloud service providers, AWS and GCP. Right. So that's the background about me. I am also a certified Kubernetes administrator, CK. Right. So this is something background about me, guys. So I'm here. We are here to talk about auto scaling on the cloud. So before I get started, I would just like to know the background about you. Just if you could just help me with few lines, your background, performance testing, engineering, or QA, DevOps background, that could help me, and the years of experience, how much years of experience you have, and if you have worked on cloud or not. Okay, that would be the third thing that I would like, a cloud experience, if you have anything here. So there's these three things, guys. Please help me with the information. Those who are joining now, I would like to get this information from the audience here, so that I can plan our workshop well, effectively. So, okay, I do see a lot of responses. Hi, Revant. Right. I do see Revant is having 6+6 experience into functional and performance testing using Loader. That's good to know, Revant. Jaideep, total 6 years testing, 4 years. Okay, 4 years performance testing. I request everyone to be on mute. You can definitely ask the question whenever you get a chance. But meanwhile, you can be on mute. Thank you. Gauri Shankar having issues with mic. Okay, total experience. That's good. So I do see a feel that most of you are performance testing engineering background, right? Those who have also I see people those who have transition themselves from functional testing to performance testing, but I do see very few people working on the cloud domain, right? Uh, I do see that feedback. Okay, so looking at all these information, guys. So thank you, guys, for this information. This would help me definitely to plan this workshop well, so that I would like you to take something from here. The most important thing, right? So I have been into your shoes, performance testing, engineering. I'm quite experienced than you, most of you, those who are in this group. Mostly in this group, mostly people are from, I would say, 4 to 10 years, right? Mostly. So I have been into your shoes. So I know that in the next years, right? If you are already 8 years, the next years to come, you would be getting challenges to work on the cloud. You would be definitely be asked to work in the cloud. I hope most of are already expected to work in the cloud. When I say cloud, it could be anything, AWS or Azure or GCP, right? Or any other, like, okay, as well. Like there are a lot of other cloud service provider as well. You could be asked to work in the private cloud as well, right? Then you would be also asked to work in microservices architecture, because that's the trend we are in, right? We are no longer working on a multi application, where we deploy all the application server all the application logic in one application server. We break down the code and we deploy a single entity, right, separate entity. That's the microservices. So you would be asked to work on this. I hope most of you are already working on it. That's my assumption, because that's where you would be working eventually. If not, right, if not now, you would be working eventually, because that's where the IT industry is going, right? Then you would be also, since microservices, then you would be also asked to work on containers, right? Docker containers, uh, and I would definitely say Kubernetes, right? And right. So these would be the three primarily things that you guys would be mostly working on. Is there anyone who is in this space, working in this space? Anyone in this group who have joined here? I do see 15 people have joined till now. Is anyone in this forum or in this group who are working in this space? Anyone?
Yes, Roshan. See, this is Sri. So I do have experience in a Docker and Kubernetes environment where my applications are deployed.
Okay, so Sri, just to let everyone know, so you are a performance tester engineer, right?
Yes, yes, I'm a performance test engineer, and I do some DevOps activities in my current location. So yeah, on top of it, my applications are in AWS.
Right. So it would be good if you could share your knowledge with others. So because most of who gathered here are not from, they're not working in this space. Mostly they are working on what I suggest. They're working on traditional performance testing, like using JMeter or load runner tool, or they would be doing some sort of troubleshooting, right? Mostly Java applications. That guys, I think most of us are in this space, right? Just could you just share your knowledge or your transition? How so? Do you see, Sri, that most of us in coming days would be engaged here?
Yes, right. As we all you know, right? See, market is evolving and towards the new technologies, and everything is decomposing from monolithic to microservices, right? So ultimately, we would need to go some either of the cloud. So my client chosen AWS, and all existing applications they're decomposing to these microservices, and we are so obviously for microservices we cannot deploy on our VM set. We definitely have to go for this Dockerized containerized system. So obviously we don't have any option. So where we need to move either of the cloud. Yeah. So slowly applications are moving towards microservices. So everyone has to be perfect in either of the AWS and doing this all understanding of entire
Right.
services in either of
Absolutely,
the.
absolutely. Right. So that's the same thing, same point I was making, Sri, here with everyone here. So if you are, like, say, 6 years, like 7 years experience, you can manage with these skill sets, right? You can manage with your JMeter, load runner, scripting skill sets. You can manage with the Java troubleshooting skill sets, doing some basic performance, taking a heap dump or thread dump, and analyzing and helping getting the information to the developer. The next level here, if you are a performance engineer, the next level is the code optimization. Okay, that's the next level. Basically, performance engineers are expected to help or assist the developers write efficient code. Okay, that's the real thing of a performance engineer. But in India, it's not the case. Mostly, we don't get to work on these. We mostly rely on our developers to write the code. What we do as a performance engineer, we just troubleshoot. We do take thread dump, heap dump, and whatever the max we can do, we let them know that this is the method, that's the code that's causing issue or having some more footprint or having some thread contention. That's what we all do mostly, right, till this point of time. That's what I have communicated, I have discussed, whatever I have discussed with many folks here over the time when I take the interview. That's the case. We need to go to the next level at the code optimization. So either you choose this path, okay, you have to go either this path, but to sum it up, right, if you are a 10 plus 12 years experience, if you're looking to earn something like, I would say, 35 lakhs or 40 lakhs, right, on that salary range, right, you have to be very much comfortable in this space, right, both in the microservices Docker space and into code optimization scale as well. That's how the next level of you as a performance engineer would go, right? That's the next thing, because you cannot just keep on working on this JMeter and Java performance troubleshooting, right? So that's where we have this particular workshop to talk about uh, auto scaling, right? So when I say auto scaling, it is not possible since most of you are not from the cloud background. So in the cloud, what we do, we set up the infrastructure, right? So let me just give you one example. Okay, I'm not sure how many of you attended the workshop we took recently on the load balancer. So let's say if you have the works, let's say you have an e-commerce application. Okay, just consider e-commerce application like Flipkart or Amazon or Walmart.com or JCPenney, any e-commerce application where you get to buy things, right, on the daily basis. People go and buy stuff on daily basis, right? Consider those kind of applications, e-commerce application. Let's say for any e-commerce application, there is a workload distribution, right? As a performance tester engineer, we all do that, right? We do workload distribution. Let's say 8 a.m. To let's say 11 a.m. Okay. Let's say the number of user load is how much? Just let's say take any number. Okay. I'm just trying to be realistic because 8 a.m. mostly people are awake. I'm talking from an Indian point of view, Indian customers. We mostly wake up and we start on the working part, right? So getting office. So not many people are trying to purchase things, right? So let's say comparatively, let's say we have 300 users. Okay, I'm just a number. Okay, I'm just gonna do a relative things for other timings. So let's say for this 300 servers, I need 3 servers. Okay, just lay that, make it from 11 a.m. Obviously, we are mostly from in the office till let's say 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Okay, and let's say we have even further user list accessing the applications, maybe someone who is not working, right? So let's say you need 2 servers. Okay, let's say that. Okay, make it more, make it 30 servers. Okay, let's make it more realistic. I'm talking, make it 3,000. Okay, some consider big application, it could be 30,000 users also. I'm just taking one number, 2,000 users, and let's say 20 servers. Okay, and obviously from 7 p.m. Let's say to 11 p.m. There will be highest time where most of us are working. Let's say 10,000 users are accessing the applications. We are all back from home and we are doing the shopping, right? So let's say for here you need 100 servers. Okay. So these things would go on and from again 11 p.m. to next day, let's say 8 a.m. Uh, there would be less users to accessing the application. Let's say 4,000 users. Okay, something like that. Okay. So you need 40 servers. Okay. So if you're in on-premise, okay. So this question is for all those people who are working on-premise. Okay. I would like you to comment on this. So to set up to make sure that my application can adjust to all the user load, right? How many servers I need to deploy in production at any given point of time? The because in production that's the fixed setting that we do, right? We don't auto scale things, right? We have to configure in a fixed way, right? So how many servers do you think, guys, I need in production? Looking at this workload modeling, workload distribution, you can write your questions in the answers in the chat. I do have 2 screen, guys. I would like you to participate and help me understand that what do you think the number of servers deployed in production? Number of servers need to deploy in production. Okay. Someone saying in 40 it's on-premise talking about, right? I'm not talking about auto scaling as of now. Okay, on-premise. Okay. So I do see people are mostly putting 100. That's absolutely correct, guys. Someone NK has put 40. NK, if you put 40 servers, what will happen between 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.? Your server would crash. Okay, because 10,000 would log in and your server would not be able to accommodate 10,000 users. So your application would crash. No one would be able to order. The same thing happened to the Flipkart in using Big Million Days. Remember the first time the Flipkart offered something called Big Million Days? I'm not sure if you guys can recall that, but the owners, the CEO has to write the apology letter to all the customers that their order could not get completed because they were not expecting that much load, and eventually that much load came to production, and which the servers were not configured for, right? And the server crashed basically. So obviously, guys, you need to have 100 servers. Okay, no doubt about that. Okay, are we clear on this 100 servers? Yes, everyone. Yes. Can you guys everyone say yes? Is anyone who has not understand 100 servers? Why do we need 100 servers? Guys, if you could quick to be respond, I can go on. Guys, I'm just waiting for your responses. Guys, are we in line here? Okay, perfect. Okay, so now look at this, right? So 100 servers in production, right? On-premise setup. But when we move to cloud, so what is the advantage? That in the cloud we have something called auto scaling. I don't need to have 100 servers always configured because I will have to pay, because I'm not making use of 100 servers. I'm only making use of these 100 servers for these 4 hours, only for these 4 hours. Other for 20 hours, I don't need these many servers. Hardly I would require maximum of 40 servers. So these 60 servers extra, which I need only for the 4 hours, right? I can only just need for the 4 hours. That's the point, right? And in the on-premise, I have to purchase. On-premise, we purchase things, right? The company purchase things to set up the on-premise infrastructure. So we purchase things, right? That's the wastage here, because if you were in the cloud, you could just have the auto scaling configured, right? Auto scaling configured in the cloud, and you can achieve this. You will make some, put some criteria, let's say CPU utilization. I will write an auto scaling algorithm. In the cloud we have that option. I'm going to show you in some time. I'm going to write some sort of algorithm here, that on the CPU utilization. Okay, I will take this as the metric. You can take other metric also as per your requirement, as per your application, right? But let's talk about the CPU utilization. Everyone can connect here. So let's see if I put the average utilization, let's say more than 60%. Okay, overall, if my CPU utilization is greater than 60%, what I can do, I can take some action. I will make this action. Okay, scale up to servers. Whenever whatever the number of servers I have, if the average CPU utilization of all the servers is greater than 60%, I can scale up, right? And if average CPU utilization of all the servers is, let's say, less than 20%, I can scale down, right? Something like that. 20%, remove or add two servers. Let's just put this condition, add two servers, and I can mention remove two servers, something like that. Do you think, guys, if I have this sort of condition, and if you have in the cloud this kind of feature that it can keep on monitoring your CPU utilization, right? And if it can take decision based on this, right? Do you think that my overall cost can be decreased significantly? We are talking about 24/7, right? Do you guys agree that yes, that cost would significantly be reduced? I hope you guys are with me here till this point of time. Yes. Okay, hold on. I have something important to say. So, average CPU utilization greater than 60. Are you going to consider one spike, or you want to consider some 4 or 5 spikes over a span of 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Do you want to consider only one spike, guys? Do you think that will be an intelligent thing to do? To just, whenever you get one spike, say add, or whenever you just get one spike less than 20, remove. Do you want to do that, or you want to monitor it for 5 samples in 5 minutes? Do you want to do this, guys, or no? For 5 samples in 5 minutes. Okay, do you want to do this? Do you think this is a very important thing to do? Because spike can happen.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, because spike can happen for any region, right? We know that, let's say if GC overhead is happening, right? GC is happening, or there is something memory crunch, the spike can happen, right? What do you mean by samples? Samples is the data point, okay? User sample is a data point. 5 samples, so 5 data points, okay? Make it like this, 5 data points. Okay, let me be more specific. Data points. I think we're clear now. Samples, data points. Okay, so we would like to 5 data points. Okay, because every minute or every 30 seconds, right? I will make use of some monitoring tool like Grafana or Prometheus, right? Or Kibana, right? I would make some sort of, or we have a lot of tools. We have a lot of tools, right? We in the cloud, in AWS, we have CloudWatch. We have so many tools to monitor. So every 30 seconds or every 1 minute, I would take one data point, right? And I would consider one as one data point. But in 5 minutes, if I get 5 data points with greater than 60%, right? So obviously I would know we definitely are in the crunch of CPU, and definitely we don't have enough CPU to accommodate the user load, right? So if we can somehow configure these things, right? So do you guys agree that yes, things should be taken care in production without us worrying about it? So depending on if even the more users come in, we don't need to worry about if you can configure this. Do you guys see the amount of headache that, or the amount of work that go in setting up the on-premise setup, right? On-premise system, where we talk about whether this can hold this many servers, can hold this many users, and all those things. These servers can accommodate these many users or not, right? So if we have this auto scaling, this can be simplified significantly. The amount of performance testing that you need to do can be minimized significantly. Do you guys see that difference here? That you'll have to go for a less number of performance tests if you have this auto scaling. You just need to test auto scaling whether it's working or not, right? That's what you need to test. You don't have to go over endurance test running for 24 by 24 hours and all. You can do it just to check the stability, but on the scalability part, you would be sure, right, that things would be taken care in production because you have these auto scaling things, right? Do you guys agree with me that then that's going to be quite a move and quite a thing for a performance engineer to try this out in the cloud, right? Do you guys agree with me on this till this point of time?
Yes, Roshan.
Perfect. That's good to know. Okay, so that's about auto scaling, guys. So in the cloud, okay, so just to let you know that, okay, this is one of the course that I'm coming up with, okay, and this we are covering this a lot of things here, okay. We are covering auto scaling as well as part of this course. Okay, so this is I'm going to just highlight a lot of things. I want you to go over that in detail, but I just want to highlight that we have something called resilience, right? In the performance world, I don't know if you are using this word, how resilient your application is, or how available your application is, right? You can and you can configure the resilience part from the load balancing and auto scaling. So what is resilience here? The ability of the system to come back to the normal, okay, come back to the normal even if you have some sort of failure, right? Some sort of the server has failed or something, right? So that's called resilience. And this auto scaling and the load balancing are one of the important stuff, right? Important things that helps, right? So let me just go over it, guys. I'm gonna go to the AWS console. I do see one question here. Yes, but one caveat. If it's 5 DPS in less amount of time, it might be load balancer issue or a network issue or a stress issue. We need to test this region. That's fine, Girish. Okay, that's fine. We need to test and all. But on part of the configuration, Girish, so what is your input, Girish? So whatever the point you have mentioned, can you elaborate? So what should be done here?
Scaling,
Yes,
auto
Girish?
scaling, and stress. Hello,
Yeah,
am I
yeah, I'm
audible right
there.
now?
I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, Roshan, actually, it should be either auto scaling should be done, and also the resilience should be checked here.
Obviously, see, resilience
Because
when we talk about, right? Resilience is
see
always we need to check
in
that, right?
in 5 minutes, if it is having 5 DPs, then it is a issue with the load balancer. Normally, what we have means practically
5
is
DPS,
it is
what do you
normally
mean
the
by say DPS? Can you elaborate on that?
no 5 DP the data point that you are said here.
Okay, data point,
If
DPS.
you are getting spikes in certain very less amount of time, usually it refers to the network or the load balancer issue. नहीं
Okay,
तो
so
क्या होता है ना कभी कभी बोम्बार्ड भी हो जाता है.
okay, basically you are saying, Girish, that instead of 5 data points, we should consider 10 data points or 15 data points.
No, the minutes should not be 5. It might be increased. Let's say you are running on-premise e-commerce. Not on-premise, it might be cloud also. If you are having the minutes, 5 minutes के जगह पे अगर वो 60 minutes होता है, then it is considerable. Then we should
You're
move
not
for
getting it.
the.
This is a different thing I'm talking about. This is an auto scaling feature that I have enabled, okay, and I'm capturing the CPU utilization here every 1 minute and every 30 seconds. Let's say every 30 seconds, I'm capturing, okay, or every minute
Okay.
I'm capturing the CPU utilization, and I'm taking this auto scaling decision based on that. What you're talking about, load balancing and timeout, that's a different thing. That's a different
Okay.
thing.
Got it.
You're getting confused between these two. So what I'm talking here is that you need to capture keep on monitoring the CPU utilization. See, if timeout is happening, you would get some other kind of issues, 500 or 400 status codes. You would get those kind of
Correct.
errors.
50x and 40x. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a separate thing. I'm not talking about those things, right? In
No,
that.
I got confused. Sorry. I thought it is that one 50x and 40x.
No. Don't get confused. This is data point. This is every CPU utilization, right? And 5 samples or 5 times in 5 minutes. If you get a 5 times CPU utilization greater than 60%, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 500 and 400 here. Status code.
Okay. Got it.
Sure. Okay.
I have one small question.
Yeah, go ahead, Aditya.
Yeah, so when we are doing auto scaling, so it is vertical or horizontal?
Auto scaling is always horizontal scaling. Okay, when you talk about vertical thing, right, that comes under your baselining. Okay, always remember this. When you do a vertical scaling, basically when you are baselining your product, let's say you got some microservices, okay, and you want to test it, like as a performance tester or engineer, you want to test it that this microservices, how many servers would be required to support 100 users or 200 users, right? In that point of case, you can do vertical scaling. You may go from, you can start with 2 vCPUs, okay, and you can go with, let's say, 4 GB RAM. This could be one server configuration, or let's say you found that if you're going with this to support 200 users, you may need let's say 10 servers. So you don't want to spin up these many servers. So what you do vertical scaling. Now you have the option of going with 4 vCPUs, and let's say 8 GB RAM, and you can bring down this to 5 servers. Okay. Or you can see 3 servers is must. Okay, we need to have see, when we talk about high availability, right, we talk about multiple instances in one AZ. Okay, multiple nodes in one AZ. Then we do go for multi AZ deployment. So we need to make sure that the servers that you're deploying are multiple servers needs to be deployed in one availability zone, right? And then you need to have multi-AG deployment as well. Okay, so your servers need to be configured in the multi-AG, in 2 AG as well, availability zones I'm talking about. So that comes under high availability. Okay, that all these things that we're talking about is from the performance point of view. So you consider vertical scaling while baselining. Okay, what to understand how many servers would be required to scale up 200 users or 300 users. On during the baselining, you do that. Okay, once you do the baselining, okay, it's always this decision here. You're not going to make a vertical scaling decision here. It's always the horizontal scaling that you do, right? Because when you auto scale, you need to mention what server needs to come up, right? Let's say you're working on Amazon.com. When this is a web server, okay, when you're doing auto scaling, you need a pre-configured server. You don't need a bare empty or nothing in it, right? Server, you need a pre-configured server. This web pages needs to be there or mapped to the server which is coming up new, right? It has to be pre-configured. We talk about AMI, Amazon machine image. You need to some sort of use some image, right? So that when the server comes, you need to bring up with those AMI, right? So that's what we do in the auto scaling, right? So it's always horizontal scaling as part of auto scaling, vertical scaling during baselining. Are we good here?
Okay. Yeah, I got it. And just I have one question. Like, in when we do the on-premises server, when we do the auto scaling, like not auto scaling, when we increase the SQ size, so we observed like when we increase that, we observe the spikes on the servers. So same happens here also when we do the auto scale. So it might be possible that there are some spikes we will get for some
Okay.
period of
So
time,
you're
like
talking
for two
about
or three
during
months.
the you're talking about Aditya that during the auto scaling part, during the horizontal
Yeah,
scaling
yeah,
is
yeah,
happening during
yeah.
that duration, 1 minute or 30 seconds.
During that duration. Yeah,
You
correct, correct.
observe some 500 or some spikes, right? So that's what we
Not
talk about.
not 500, just
Okay.
some spikes. Like it
because you,
goes from
because you get spike
yeah.
because you need more servers, and you are
Mhm.
in the process of getting the servers, right? But the servers has not come up, right? Till now the server has not come up. So the best thing that you do here, you can set up your condition not with 60%. I always make it 40-50%. So at least
Yeah, correct, correct.
you give some room
Yes.
to the
Some
existing
buffer.
servers,
Right,
right?
right,
So that you
right, right,
have
right.
these existing servers have some cushion or some bandwidth to
Mm-hmm.
more users or more requests till the new servers are
Correct.
coming up, right? So you should not should give try to give this less and try to test it. You will not get spikes.
Yeah, because if we do 60, then it will go to 80 because of the spike. So it might create a problem.
Exactly, exactly. You got that. Okay, that's good. That's good observation, Aditya. Good to know. Anyone else has any question on this? Okay, one of the things I would like to tell you guys, one of the things, one of the very important thing here. Uh, okay, just hold on. Some problem. Okay, one of the very important things. Just give me 1 second, guys. I hope I'm audible to you guys. Yes, everyone. Okay, okay. I thought I was having some internet
Yes.
activity. So okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect.
Audible.
Okay, so coming back, so I would like to just share my experience, my experience with Kubernetes, right? So I was working on this Kubernetes pods. I don't know how many of you are working. So in Kubernetes, if you work, there's something called readiness probe and liveliness probe. We have that. Okay, okay, just give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Just give me one. I'm back. Someone was at the door. Okay. So what I was telling you that in Kubernetes there is something called readiness probe and liveliness probe. I'm not sure if you get aware of these things. Readiness probe we call it, and liveliness probe. What happens, right? That pods in Kubernetes we talk about pods, and that's where your microservices are deployed, right? So if this readiness probe and liveliness probe is not correctly set, right? So what happens that when the new pods are coming up as part of horizontal pod autoscaler, when the new pods are coming up, what happens that even before it comes up, okay, before it comes up, and we have something called initial delay also. There are three things. Before it comes up, the pod comes up, it starts sending the request to the pod which are just about to come up. The pod is not ready. Okay, the pod is not ready to receive the request. It is not fully up and running. Like consider the application, the server is not fully deployed or not running, but the load balancer starts sending the request to that particular application or the pod, right? So what would happen? The 500 things would come up because the pod is not ready to receive the request. So you need to also play with these parameters if you're working on Kubernetes to make sure that it works perfectly fine. Okay. Just one of the things.
Actually, like in my sorry to interrupt, like in my current project, right? That is a problem that we're facing. While the pods are scaling up, we are like getting a high response and CPU spikes, and there are 500 failures that are happening. So we actually, give an input to the developers to look into the readiness and liveliness probe because those pods should ideally not track the traffic before the readiness probe is success, right? So
Yeah, why
is
have
my
given
understanding?
feedback to the developer, right? We can also figure that out, right? The performance engineer, we can also try that out,
Mhm.
and we can discuss with them that how much time it takes, right, to come up, and what can we do, right? We can just talk to them, change these settings in the YAML file and to read it, right? If you have this access, we can do that. So yeah, one of those things that I was dealing, we need to keep in mind in Kubernetes. That's good to know. Okay, guys. Okay, so that's something about me here on this.
Sir, could you please uh, explain like what is that we can do with these parameters like
We need to
readiness
make
probe and
sure you need to be sure how much time when your pod would be ready, right? When your pod would be ready to accept the request, you should know how much time the pod is taking to come up, right, or to be fully up and running, right? So that's what is all about. You need to change the timings. You can delay you can be basically you're telling the load balancer, don't send me request, I'm not ready.
Mhm.
Something like that.
Okay. Are there any parameters
This is the parameter.
or
That's the
kind of
parameter.
threshold? So I meant,
These are the
are
parameters.
there any thresholds?
It all depends on the application you're working on, Deepa.
Okay.
So as someone mentioned,
Because I'm not, I'm not yet got into this parameters. So I just wanted to know like what can we do with this?
so it all depends on the application you're working on, the pods, the microservices is running up. You need to to understand the microservices, how much time it takes to come up the new pod, right? With sometimes what happens, the nodes are also scaling up. Okay. So to pod to come up, you need to have nodes. You need to have server, right? Then the pod would come
Yeah.
in that server. So what happens? You need the nodes are also coming up, and this auto scaling feature. You need to make sure that you get enough time, okay, for the pods to be ready. Then only load balancer should send the request to those pods to serve the request, right? If not, you get 500 errors and those kind of thing. You will get high spikes. You would see customer complaining their orders are getting dropped, right? So a lot of things would come up. So if these things are not correctly set.
Okay. Could this be a case like where we kind of even set certain thresholds like the CPU thresholds, right? If we have setting like 70% and we see that requests are not being handled, maybe then can we adjust those things so that we give enough time for these parameters also?
As I
So
told
that
you, right? As I told you, the CPU creation part, you always try to give it less, okay? So that when these things are coming up, right? The existing server should have enough capacity to serve the request, additional request for some time, at least 2 minutes or 3 minutes till you have got the new pods, right? So you should always make this optimal. Enough capacity should be there for at least 5 minutes, next 5 minutes before these things are coming up, right? So you should always set this correctly. You should not set this at the boundary, because if this exceeds the boundary, you will see spikes, because you don't have servers, you don't have CPU to handle the additional request, but the request the load balancers keep on sending the request to this existing server. So you need to make sure that whatever you cite, you keep some bandwidth, you keep some capacity with the servers to keep on serving the request for some time, yeah, till the new pods or new applications or new servers have come up, right? So
Ronak, I just had like one last question from my side. So the scalability criteria that we talked about, right? So I have like one doubt. Does that apply to node or it applies to pods? I mean, how do in case I define my scalability criteria to be...
Are you into Kubernetes, Suraj, till now?
Yeah, I'm actually working day in and day out recently. But this is something where I'm getting confused, whether it is applicable to node level CPUs or we are talking about pod level CPUs.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. So since we're talking about, I talk about in general, like when we talk about pod, we talk of two things. We talk about horizontal pod autoscaler, autoscaler. Here we talk about pod. Okay, pod. When the pod is like an application, right? So where the pod would come up, and we also talk about cluster autoscaler. That's about the node. So you need to configure both the things. Here we talk about and here we talk about node. I'll not go
when we say
I'll not go deep onto this right now, because I'm not sure how many people are working on Kubernetes, right? So I've just given you okay. So that's how we deal with. We need to configure both.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So let me just talk about the basic stuff. I would like to just share my knowledge here, some experience, and good to know that other people have also chimed in. Okay, so let me just show you something about auto scaling, guys. By the way, guys, for your information, all these things that we're discussing here, it is there in one of my the syllabus or the course which I'm coming up with. That's called Site Reliability Engineer. Okay, to become a site SRE engineer, right? Okay, so I would, if you're interested, so you can attend from Monday, from next tomorrow 9 p.m. Okay, so that's the timing of the class here, the session every day. It's from Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. IST. You can just get in touch with someone at Isha Training Solution. They can add you to the group, and you can start attending the sessions. Okay, and we'll talk about here the cloud, we talk about Linux, we talk about Docker, we talk about Kubernetes, we talk about observability, right? Extensive syllabus that we're covering here. We're talking about cloud here, we're talking about SRE here. What is SRE? What is disaster recovery, fault tolerance, high availability? What is SLI, SLO, right? All these things. We're talking about microservice architecture. We're talking about containers, Docker, right? We're talking about Kubernetes here. EKS, we mostly talk about EKS. That's called AWS service of Elastic Kubernetes Service. We talk of EKS in Kubernetes. We're talking about HPA, cluster autoscaler, horizontal pod autoscaler. We're talking about these things. We talk about CloudWatch. That's the AWS monitoring solution. We talk about resiliency. We talk about fault tolerance, observability using various tools like Prometheus, Grafana, troubleshooting performance issues, right? Some automation as well, right? And we do give self-paced trainings for self-scripting, core Java, and Python. Okay, so if you guys are interested, you can just go over this link. Okay, let me share this link.
Can you share this link?
I have shared already. Yeah. Okay, guys. So the session is already started. Okay, it's happening. We have already started with 2-3 sessions. 10 people have already enrolled and things are going on. We don't have much seats available. So yeah, please, if you're interested, you can get in touch with someone with Isha Training Solution, and you can start from tomorrow. 9 p.m. We have just started with the cloud part. We all have created the AWS account, and we're talking about availability zones, regions, infrastructure service, platform as service, software service. We're talking about started to talk about those things. So yeah, that's the link, guys. You can start going over that. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the auto scaling part where you things see. Okay, let me start.
Hi, Yusuf.
Yep. Hi.
Hi, Arun from this side.
Hi, Arun.
I'm just providing a scenario. Just help me out on that. How that auto scaling part is going to help you out on that particular scenario. Okay. Suppose see so one type of scenario I'm just providing at the time of a load is coming, and that particular load is coming only for one server itself. And you are going to say about that we are
hold on.
Sure.
The load is coming to only one server, so you don't have a load balancer.
One server. Yeah, we have the load balancer, but if we are going to use the DNS caching part, it means that maximum load is going to put only one server. That time your load balancer is also not going to work. Because why I'm telling it, because I was just facing such type of issue. If you are going to use the auto scaling part, then how that auto scaling part is going to help up to what extent?
Okay, I need to understand your architecture, Arun. In 10 minutes or in 5 minutes, whatever time we have left, I may not be able to understand and answer you right now, because what your architecture is saying, DNS caching, you're telling these words. I need to understand your architecture. Why?
And the DNS caching is not a part of our architecture part. That is a part of our tool is there. Okay. And by default, if you are going to check it to be, then all those in that case, your load balancer is going to work, but it will hit to only one server itself. It is not going to.
Arun, go slow. Okay, go slow. Okay.
Sure.
So you have this load balancer. Okay, let's say you have this server.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You have this load balancer. Okay.
Right.
Tell me what is the problem? How many servers you have? Okay.
Suppose two, three servers are there. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. Okay. So how many servers are there? Confirm.
Yeah. For example, two servers are there.
Okay, two servers are there, and this is the
right.
Balancer, right? Okay, fine.
Load balancer. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
And here, when you are putting the load by using our tool, that
Which
time
tool? Which tool? Okay, hold on. Which
by
tool?
using performance testing tool.
Okay, like let's say JMeter, you are doing some
load runner.
Okay,
by using load runner. Okay.
Load runner. You're doing some test. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just looking that maximum loads are going to the first server.
When I'm just putting. Hold on, Arun. Why that is the case? Yeah. The load balancer, what algorithm is set here?
I think maybe round robin technique. Maybe.
Why it is going to only one server? That's my question. You have two servers, right?
Right.
Why it's going to only one server? 50% it's.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. That is the work of the load balancer. What are the algorithms you are just putting on that? According to the load balancer, it is going to distribute the load equally to both the servers. That is the work. But my question is that here load balancer is not properly distributing the load.
So you need to fix the load balancer first.
Yeah, see, if I'm going to check that particular DNS caching, your load balancer is not going to work. There is no issue from the load balancer work here itself.
Okay, Arun, that's the reason I told you. I need to understand the architecture. I may not be able to answer you in 5 minutes. Let me just cover.
Okay, no issue. We will discuss later. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so just to let you know, guys, so that's the AWS console, everyone. And what we do here.
Roshan, I have a question actually.
Okay.
Do I need to have a proper coding knowledge for SRE?
See, SRE is having multiple job profiles. Okay. If you go to LinkedIn, Girish.
I do not have actually that much of coding knowledge. That is
why
I was.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine. It all depends on what companies are expecting. Companies may expect coding knowledge or may not. Okay? It depends on the companies. Okay. if you look for the SRE role, right, what I would tell you is that do your own research, okay? Just type high reliability engineer, okay? And go over all the JDs that you have, okay? Bank of America, Cisco, right? And go over all the JDs, okay? And then you can
Right now, I'm
decide.
working with SAP Analytics, SAP Analytics, and SAP Cloud.
Okay.
So I was thinking of going into the basis team wherein we do the full server stuff, cloud, SCPI tenant. So
Okay.
I was on that terms I'm thinking. So if I'm going to take this course, obviously I'm interested in cloud. I can do that, but AWS would be similar to the SAP cloud. That is what my presumption
All
is.
the cloud-based providers are very much similar to each other. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay. If I
That's
take
right,
the
Chris.
course, then
Your
you have
question,
to help me on that one.
sure. Your question would be like you asked me a question whether the coding would be required in the job profile. See, while I'm gonna provide the self-paced, okay, as for the coding is concerned, okay, I'm gonna provide the self-scripting, self-paced, core Java self and Python self-paced. Okay, I'm not going to teach on the live session because these would take at least 40 hours for me to teach. Okay, so these we are providing as the self-paced training. So it's up to your interest whether you want to be a true SRE engineer or whether you want to just cater to all these JDs, whatever you see here, right? Because you can see most of the JDs, they really look for automation at least. If you have a development background, that's fine. At least you need to automate things. You need to be good at Python scripting at least. You need to be good at self.
Yeah. Python is okay. Python is okay. Yeah.
Right. So that is what
But the
expected.
other one,
See, from a SRE engineer, I'll tell you, Girish, from a SRE engineer, automation is what expected, not the hardcore Java development or code Python development. No, not you don't need to be a developer to be an SRE. You need to have the automation mindset and the performance troubleshooting mindset, right, to be a good SRE, and the knowledge of cloud, microservices, Kubernetes, all those things, right?
okay. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Okay.
Hello, Christian. I have one question. In this session, we'll cover how to test with the multi-tenant applications.
When you say multi-tenant application, that's what we're gonna do about it, right? See, multi-tenant. I'm not going to talk about in this session. We're talking about this course. Are you talking about this course?
In this course, yeah, this course, because nowadays multi-tenant applications are there in the cloud. Is it right?
That's right. See, that's about the deployment. How you have deployed. The testing part, implementation part, Kubernetes knowledge would not differ. Okay. I'm going to talk about automation. I'm going to talk about cloud. I'm going to talk about Kubernetes. I'm going to talk about horizontal pod autoscaler. These things are very much same or in line with multi-tenant or you have single tenant. Okay, that does not matter because
Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. But in my question is, example in current any one example, one project, we have 10 different customers are there. Each customer they deployed in the multi-tenant. I mean, 10 different ways. I mean, single source code, they reuse it in 10 different customers. How to test in as a performance tester? How we need to test that in 10 different applications?
See, for that, auto scaling is must. Okay, for sure, I can tell you that because the same code is there. Okay, and let's say not the same. Let's say you have one database server. Let's talk about Cassandra. Okay, if you have a Cassandra database, how multiple companies can leverage your database? You will have different key spaces. Correct?
Yeah.
You will have same Cassandra server. You will have different key spaces, right? The schema, right? That would be different. Key spaces, we call it Cassandra. So that would be different. So you need to test the Cassandra database server itself because you you cannot just take one, you cannot just test one customer. You have to test the entire customer as an entity. Whatever the customers deploy on a particular server, you can test the complete server infrastructure. How many customers can we deploy? Can that server can accommodate this many user load or not? So you need to test in that way. You cannot go customer by customer and test it.
Maybe some customers are 100 users, some customers are 1,000 users. It depends upon the customers.
But so it again depends on how big your server is, right?
Okay.
You will, for 1,000 users, you will not use the same server, right? You will place them differently, correct? The multi-tenant also does.
Yeah, example.
See, in the
Example, 10 customers are there. Each customer, example, first 1 to 9 customers are 100, 200, 300 like that. In the 10th customer, they have 10,000 users. And the peak is the 10,000 users.
I will not put that server in, I will not put that customer in the same server. If I'm a performance architect, I would not try to do that. Because
okay,
too much different non-functional requirements would be there. So much differences would be there. I will not try to place them. I would try to place the 10,000 users with 10,000 other the customers who have the same configuration or same non-functional requirements. I will try to merge this configuration here. There will be a lot of issues for 9 customers. Why would I risk 9 customers here just for the one customer?
But I agree. But as a product manager asking, we need to test with multi-tenant. We need to test with different customers. All our SLS are met or not.
I understand, but you can deploy them in a different server, right? See, if you have 20 customers, okay, you can club them, right? Servers here, 4 customers here, 4 customers there, 4 customers there. It's a still multi-tenant. Or you have to put all 20 servers, 20 customers in the same server. So you will have to go for a bigger server, it's like completely, right?
Okay.
That way, you need to think from an architecture point of view. The way the non-functional requirements you are committing here, right? 9 customers is having a different NFR, 1 customer is having a different NFR. How you can put that big customer in with these 9 guys? It will be a very difficult situation for these 9 guys because you'll have to configure such a big server and you do not know what's wrong, whether it's wrong with these 9 customers or that big customer. I would never place them in the same server.
Okay. Example, suppose if Outlook is there. Outlook example, Google company using the Outlook, same company. Amazon company using the Outlook, same company. Different companies with same Outlook, but they will use that some, maybe in the database they will maintain some key. Google company same Outlook code is using. Amazon also same Outlook code also using. Is it right? I'm understanding.
We are discussing about your multi-tenant architecture. We are not talking about Kubernetes here, right? So obviously the feeling would be different. I think a lot of background noise. Guys, okay, I think we can take this offline. I think, okay, this is a long discussion. Okay, I think you have a lot of things to say, and we have enough time here right now.
Sure.
We can connect this offline. Okay, but
okay, sure, definitely.
From that point of view, that you are basically testing how to test multi-tenant setup. That's your question, basically.
Yes, how to test with multi-tenant.
Question is different, right? So yeah, we are here to talk about auto scaling here, right? Those are related, but I'm here to tell you how to configure auto scaling. But your question is how to test multi-tenant setup, right? Two different things we're talking here. So you need to understand. I need to understand your architecture first. What all different components are there? Then it all depends on your architecture, how things are placed, what all servers are there. Then I can suggest you how to go about testing. I cannot just take a generalized statement on these things. The way
okay.
And then how other softwares are being tested, right? All are different things. So it all depends on the architecture and the different approach you go for multi-tenant. Because multi-tenant can mean something for you and it can mean something else for other people, right? So it all depends on the architecture.
Yes.
So I just cannot make a generalized statement for your testing.
Sure. In the auto scaling, what you said in the not only CPU, we can mention with SLS also.
Exactly.
Example,
You
you
can
said,
take any other metric.
yeah.
So that's what you can take any other metric. So definitely you can do that. You can talk. You can take any other metric. It's not about CPU utilization. If you are having multi-tenant, we can
Okay.
do some other metric also.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure. Okay, guys. So just give me 5 minutes, guys. More questions for now. Okay, I've taken enough questions. I want to just show you at least to get a feel of cloud, how auto scaling is there. Okay, guys. So this would be for the people those who are not into cloud. Okay, guys. So guys, sorry, I was into a lot of questions. I could not pay attention to you guys. So this is a cloud console, everyone, and we go to each other services. This is a cloud console, AWS cloud console, and the way we go here, we type services here. Okay, let's say EC2 is one of the service in cloud in AWS, which stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2. If I go to EC2, it will open a service called Elastic Compute Cloud, and I can create some servers. That's what you go cloud for, right? You want to get some servers in the cloud, right? So that's why you go to EC2 and you can get servers of your own requirement, 4 vCPUs, 8 vCPUs, 16 GB RAM, compute optimized, memory optimized. It depends on your workload. You can select the servers here, okay, in the EC2 service. And if you come down below, you see something called load balancing and auto scaling. You have to configure these things here, right? I can only show you this part right now, that we have load balancing. I have another video where I talked about load balancing. I can share that with you. Please do let me know in the group. I can share that load balancing video, and auto scaling video also I have it, where I talked about how do you configure auto scaling, and where you need to have a launch configuration first, as I was telling you, right? Where as part of auto scaling, when you're scaling up, right? So let's say you're scaling up Amazon.com, you need this server, pre-configured server, not on Flipkart.com or not Walmart.com. You need Amazon.com pre-configured server. So for that, you need your own custom image. We call it AMI, Amazon Machine Image. So you will have to mention your own AMI as part of auto scaling group, right? Here we'll talk about launch configuration. So how things would get launched. So here I'll go and talk about your own custom image. I can mention it, and then I can configure auto scaling group, and I can mention that based on these criteria, it would scale up. Okay, guys. So yeah, that's all I can show you today, guys. I do have the videos with me. I can share that. Do let me know in the group, guys, if you're looking for the videos. Okay, guys. Yeah, that's all I can.
Yeah, please share that links in the chat. Otherwise, you in the WhatsApp link, we can go with that load balancing.
I will do that. Okay, I will do that. Okay.
Thank you.
So that's all for today's session, guys. And yeah, if you want to continue this session, please join me tomorrow. Okay, you can get in touch with Mr. Kumar from Isha Training Solutions. You have the contact number here in this link. Please get in touch with him. He would add you to the group, and you can start learning on the SRE part. We have just started on the cloud part. We have just created our AWS account, everyone in the group, those who have enrolled. So yeah, that's how it is, guys. So that's all I wanted to cover today, guys. Any questions before we can end up? Feel free. Please share. Okay, Parag, Gauri, I will. Perfect.
Yeah, I have one question. Like, do we have selfless videos for this site reliability engineer?
Okay, sure. We can
Like,
course talking about.
Yeah, complete course.
Okay, so we have launched this course quite recently, so we may not have complete course, but yeah, but since as and when we'll be recording it, you will get it. So you can get it. We can talk to Mr. Kumar. He'll help you, Aditya.
Oh, sure.
Do we have an automation knowledge? We will teach you automation knowledge, right? Vishal, that's the idea here. Yes, performance tester, those who want to be a good SRE, those who want to be a good performance engineer, those who want to learn cloud, Docker, Kubernetes, they can also join Vishal. Absolutely. I would just advise everyone to go over this link. You would get a better idea. Go over few of the demo videos here which I have taken recently. Recently, I have taken these videos uploaded here. So go over these videos, guys. You get a better understanding of the course here. Okay. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for attending this workshop. Keep in touch. You keep in the WhatsApp group. We'll be notifying you to the next again some workshop like this. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend. I think it's.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Roshan.
Thanks, Roshan. Thanks.